Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday morning, the last day of May, and the two predominant weather features on the map. One's a storm. You can see it curling up here over Massachusetts with its trailing cold front that will leave a little bit of a severe weather risk today in Florida. And then the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. And what's interesting about that is every little swirl in the atmosphere is being detected by this smoke, including one there. And of course, there's broader scale flow here around that surface low. So a very interesting pattern shaping up there. Could be some severe weather out in the plains here today. And not a great chance, but measurable probably. We'll talk about that here in just a second. As soon as we take a look at what the radar is forecast to do, this swirl is going to continue to spin in New England and gradually wear off. And as we see some thunderstorms popping up right here, south central Kansas and into Oklahoma, and then diving southeastward into Texas, you can see that Florida activity too. And then even toward the end of this is a 2-day loop. You start to see some thunderstorms pop up here in parts of Montana and the Dakotas, and that is connected with the day 2 outlook for severe weather. So let's get right to that. Here is the outlook for today, Saturday. Level 2 out of 5 chance of severe thunderstorms from south central Kansas right through the heart of Oklahoma, and then on level 1 surrounding that, and then that South Florida activity. And there still could be a couple of thunderstorms around that upper level low that extend back to Kentucky, but mostly cover the eastern seaboard from Charlotte north to Washington, almost to New York City. Not much of a tornado threat, but one that does exist is a 2% chance, pretty much right in that slight risk area, that number 2 area we just showed you there, from Wichita down to Oklahoma City, including Tulsa, and maybe Wichita Falls too, as those storms develop in this area. And as you saw by the simulated radar, they're going to tend to kind of swoop off in that direction. So that's something to be watched. The Nadocast is not terribly excited about tornado threats today. 1% chance, which is the lowest I've seen in a while for a day 1 forecast, by the way. But it does exist there. It just maybe extends that chance maybe a little further north into Kansas, almost touching Topeka, not quite up into Kansas City. But it's a 1% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile radius. So it's not a great chance. Although, as you saw the other day, there was a 2% chance in Kentucky that produced a tornado, a deadly tornado, just the other day. So, the percentages are just guidelines. All it takes is one storm in the wrong place. The CSU's severe thunderstorm probability doesn't get excited about tornadoes at all today in the Great Plains, but does kind of give a signal for hail and some strong winds. That same signal exists for coastal areas of Virginia up to Delaware and maybe parts of North Carolina. If we take a look at the forecast for Sunday, we have a level 1 chance around the Charlotte area and surrounding areas, and then that level 2 chance sinks into the heart of Texas between Dallas and Houston, and then level 1 from, or I should say Dallas and Austin, then Houston is in level 1, and almost San Antonio as well. And that's tomorrow. And then there is a slight tornado risk in that general area from Killeen to Waco over to Bryan, Texas. There might be one tornado out of those thunderstorms that forms there. It's possible. CSU severe thunderstorm probability for Sunday. Again, doesn't really talk about tornadoes in Texas at all. It mostly starts talking about the wind possibilities out over the eastern or western part of the U.S. And then we get to Monday, and we see this looks like a cold front. That's exactly what it is. It's going to generate some thunderstorms from Minnesota into the heart of Nebraska, down the dry line from Kansas into the Texas Panhandle. If we take a look at CSU's probabilities there, it does promote hail in almost that exact same area outlined by the SPC. It does talk a little bit about a tornado risk there in Nebraska, including Denver and much of northeast Colorado, and some high wind probabilities there too, although not real high. So hail primarily the severe weather maker, I think, on Monday in that area. Then on Tuesday, this whole area slips to go from south central Wisconsin, Madison, through Dubuque, Iowa, through Kirksville, Kansas City, Jefferson City, Columbia area, almost to Springfield, my town, Tulsa, Oklahoma City there. And again, if it looks like a front, a cold front, that's exactly the correct diagnosis. That's what's moving through. And here's the outlook as outlined by the SPC and what CSU's model comes up with, and it's almost a perfect match. I find that to be the case a lot of times. And then the weather, this is going to be interesting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because I think there are some signs that the upper level system will get hung up a little bit. So we see some probabilities extending along this area, Ohio River Valley, eastern Great Lakes down to Texas. And then if we look on Thursdays, it only stretches out here where the front moves more east, but it kind of hangs back here. So this is a severe weather implication. It's also a heavy rain implication for areas north of the actual severe storm probabilities. or over them as well. And if we go to Friday, again, this kind of surges north again. This frontal zone is very slow moving, so that's what's going to rack up rain totals, I think, here. And it's also going to keep the severe weather ball rolling, I think, for a while, even though the actual forecast may be a little fuzzy right now. I feel like eventually the SPC will start looking at some of this data in closer proximity to the time of occurrence. Of course, we always have better eyeglasses when we get closer, and they'll probably fine-tune some of those long-term outlooks. So the last day of May, the 31st today through June 6th, is where the supercell composite outlook is focused. This is just an accumulation. Each of these pickles, they just take a look at the maximum percentage chance of a supercell and then add it up. So it's not a forecast for any particular day, but a trend for a week. And certainly this map in particular should sum up the last 7 days I just reviewed, and it does a pretty good job of that. And then we go through and take the week after that. This is what I'm kind of hinting at. You see, this doesn't really go anywhere. The supercell composite sticks right over Oklahoma. The climatology for severe weather is there for May, starts to move northward in June, and we start to see some signs of that on the next slide. It moves just a little bit north, June 14th through the 20th. So this is all telling me that I think we have a fairly active severe weather pattern coming up at least through the first half of June. Again, this is not solid everyday thunderstorms. Keep that in mind. There will be breaks in that. It's just an accumulation of possibilities over a 7-day period. So we'll just take a real quick look at the EPS. This is the ensemble model from the European models, and this is Monday's map. So we have this activity here close to the jet stream. That's where that one elongated area is. And then they extended that down, if you recall, this way. That's to account for this little what we call short wave moving through the atmosphere here. And then on Tuesday, both of these are about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This one's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, kind of the stretched out jet stream zone right here where weather may be more favorable. And the reason why I think we'll get extended play on this, if you'll notice, there's still troughiness out west. There's this general longer wave trough. There's this cutoff low. There's more energy coming into the back of this on Tuesday. So I think much of next week we'll have to fine-tune those severe weather outlooks, and I think there will be more definition coming probably by the addition of this video tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. And if you live in Springfield, you saw where that threat area is. It's mostly on Tuesday. The stuff that'll happen out in the Great Plains will probably drift south and east of us and not affect us. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.